I sold my company, Halberg Dynamics, for $46 million, and I thought that night was going to be one of celebration, not survival. My daughter Lily had insisted we celebrate together. You deserve it, Dad, she said over the phone, her voice warm but distant, like she was trying too hard to sound excited. She'd recently married Evan, a man I never fully trusted. Too smooth, too eager, the kind of smile that hides more than it shows. Still, I agreed. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe, for once, I could just enjoy the night without suspicion. We met at Harborlight Pavilion, one of those glass-walled restaurants overlooking the bay, where the lights shimmered like fallen stars. I booked a private table, white linen, golden cutlery, soft music playing in the background, the kind of place where a toast felt like a ceremony. Lily looked radiant in her emerald dress, her arm looped through Evan's. Dad, I'm so proud of you, she said, her smile bright. Evan added, you built something remarkable. Sir, I can only hope to follow in your footsteps. He raised his glass. To new beginnings, he said. We clinked glasses. I took a sip of my wine, rich and velvety, the kind that lingers on your tongue. Then they got up to dance. I remember thinking how happy Lily looked, how light her laughter sounded. For the first time in months, I actually smiled. Then a shadow loomed beside me. The security guard, tall, quiet, with a voice that carried weight. He leaned closer and whispered, Sir, I just saw your son-in-law pour something into your drink. My hand froze around the glass. I looked up at the guard, heart hammering. Are you sure? He nodded slowly. Positive. You might want to call the police before finishing that wine. Across the room, Lily laughed as Evan spun her around. My stomach turned. The glass in my hand suddenly looked less like a symbol of celebration and more like a weapon meant for me. I set the glass down slowly, trying to keep my hand from shaking. The stem of the wine glass felt like ice against my fingers. My mind raced. Was this some kind of mistake? A misunderstanding? But the guard's eyes said otherwise. Don't make a scene, he murmured. Just stay calm. Easier said than done. My pulse thundered in my ears. I forced a steady breath and stood up. Scanning the dance floor, Evan had his arm around Lily, swaying to the rhythm, his hand low on her back, his lips close to her ear. She looked blissfully unaware, her world orbiting around a man who might have just tried to poison her father. I motioned discreetly to the guard. Keep an eye on that glass. Don't let anyone touch it. He nodded, stepping back into the shadows. I walked toward them, each step feeling heavier than the last. When Evan noticed me approaching, he smiled that rehearsed, politician's smile of his. Hey Dad, didn't expect you on the dance floor tonight. Actually, I said, forcing a smile of my own. I was hoping to talk to you, privately. He hesitated, but followed me toward the hallway that led to the restrooms. The music faded behind us, replaced by the distant hum of the city outside the glass windows. What's up? He asked too casually. Funny thing, I said, crossing my arms. A security guard claims he saw you put something in my drink. His smile faltered, just for a second, but I saw it. That tiny flicker of panic, before he composed himself. That's ridiculous, he said quickly. Maybe he misread something. I was just stirring your wine after you left it untouched for a while. Wine doesn't need stirring, Evan, I said quietly. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, two uniformed officers entered the hallway. The guard must have already called them. Evan's expression darkened, and for the first time the mask slipped. Careful what you accuse me of. Old man, he hissed. You have no idea who you're dealing with. He was right about one thing, I didn't. But I was about to find out. The officers approached calmly, one of them asking for my name, the other requesting Evan step aside. The restaurant had gone silent, the soft jazz fading under the weight of curiosity. Evan shot me a glare that could burn steel, before forcing a polite smile for the cops. It's all a misunderstanding, he said smoothly. My father-in-law had a few too many. He must have misheard something. I'm sober, I cut in, my voice steady. Check the glass on table 12. The guard saw him tampering with it. The officers nodded, one heading toward the dining area while the other stayed with us. Evan's jaw tightened. His charm was starting to crack. When the officer returned, he was holding my wine glass carefully, sealed in a clear evidence bag. Sir, he said to me, we'll send this to the lab for testing. For now, we'll need both of you to remain available for questioning. Of course, I said, but Evan stepped forward quickly. I want a lawyer, he snapped. You're not detaining me over a glass of wine. Lily appeared at that moment, her eyes wide. Dad, Evan, what's happening? I looked at her as my only child and my heart broke. Sweetheart, let's go home, I said softly. We'll talk there. But Evan cut me off. No, Lily. Your father's overreacting. He's trying to ruin our night because he doesn't like me. Enough, I said, my tone cold. You can explain yourself when the results come back. That night, I barely slept. My mind was a storm, flashes of every strange moment, every offhand comment Evan had made about money, about the company sale. The pieces began to fit, and the picture that formed was terrifying. 2 days later, a detective called. His voice was serious, almost apologetic. Mr. Hellberg, the lab confirmed traces of benzodiazepine in your drink, a sedative strong enough to knock someone out. My stomach dropped. Your son-in-law, the detective continued, claims he didn't know how it got there. But we also found something else. I gripped the phone tighter. What? A transfer attempt from one of your investment accounts. $5 million. Initiated from your laptop. And I hadn't even logged in for weeks. The moment the detective's words sank in, a chill spread through my chest. $5 million gone, or nearly gone, from an account I'd barely touched since the company's sale. I forced myself to sound calm. When was the transfer initiated? 2 nights ago, he replied. It was flagged for manual verification because of the amount. The bank froze it before it cleared. Relief mixed with rage. So you're saying someone tried to steal from me and drug me at the same time? That's what it looks like, he said quietly. Mr. Hellberg, we also traced the device that attempted the transfer. It was your home IP address. I froze. My home. The only people who had been there recently were Lily and Evan. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. I opened my laptop, heart pounding as I checked the activity log. There it was, a login from 3 nights ago. At 11:47 p.m., the password had been saved. The browser history wiped clean. And then, like a slap to the face, I remembered. Evan had borrowed my laptop that same night. Said his own computer was acting up. I stormed into the kitchen, where Lily was sitting with a cup of coffee, her eyes tired and confused. Lily, I said, did Evan use my computer recently? She looked startled. Yeah, he said he needed to check something for work. Why? I hesitated, then told her everything: the drug, the transfer attempt, the detective's call. Her face drained of color. No. She whispered, that can't be true, he couldn't. But even as she said it, her voice trembled. Doubt had cracked the surface. Outside, I saw Evan's car pull into the driveway. And suddenly, I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. Evan stepped into the kitchen, with his usual confident smile, carrying takeout bags. Thought I'd grab dinner, he said casually, kissing Lily on the cheek. But when his eyes met mine, I saw it, a flicker of unease. A calculation behind his charm. I forced a grin. Perfect timing. Evan, sit down, we need to talk. He froze for half a second, then smiled again. Sure thing, what's up? Lily's fingers fidgeted on her mug. I could see her trying to hide her trembling. I spoke slowly, deliberately. Someone tried to transfer $5 million from my account 2 nights ago. The attempt was flagged. The bank traced it to my home IP address. Evan's expression didn't crack. That's terrible, he said evenly. Maybe you got hacked. Maybe, I said. Except the hacker logged in from my personal laptop, the one you borrowed. For the first time, his composure faltered. Wait, what? I didn't. Save it, I cut in. The digital trail is clean. Too clean. Only someone who knew how to wipe a system would think to do that. I leaned forward, my voice low. You work in cybersecurity, don't you? Silence. Lily's eyes darted between us. Evan, tell me he's wrong. Evan ran a hand through his hair, laughing hollowly. This is insane. You think I'd drug you and steal your money? What would I even do with it? Maybe you should tell us, I said coldly. He pushed back from the table. I don't have to listen to this. I reached into my pocket and placed a small black recorder on the table. You already have. The color drained from his face. Lily gasped. You recorded him. No, I said softly, watching Evan's hands tremble. I recorded everything from that night. And now, it was time to play it back. I hit play on the recorder, and the quiet hum of the restaurant faded beneath the tense voices captured from that night. Evan's words came first, calm, calculated, then the faint sound of a liquid being poured into my glass. My stomach knotted as the memory of the evening returned, every detail sharper than before. Lily covered her mouth. Oh my God. Evan's eyes widened as he recognized the recording. No, that's not. Listen, I said, my voice steady but icy. This isn't interpretation, this is proof. He stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. I didn't, it was supposed to be harmless. Just a prank, I swear. A prank, I echoed, my voice rising. You could have killed me. I didn't know it would react like that. His eyes darted around the room, panic overtaking arrogance. I just wanted to scare you, make it look like a slip. I shook my head. You don't get it. You went too far, and you thought I wouldn't notice. That I wouldn't have eyes and ears on every move. Lily's hands shook. Dad, what do we do now? I looked at them both, my heart still racing but my mind clear. We do what has to be done. You broke trust. You violated our family. Evan's bravado cracked completely. Please, you can't, you're ruining everything. I leaned in, my finger pressing against the recorder. No, Evan, you did that yourself. And now, the authorities will hear the truth. His face paled as I reached for my phone. He realized, too late, that every step he had taken to cover his betrayal had been tracked. Every lie, every calculated move, all leading to this moment. Lily looked at me, tears streaming, and I saw both fear and relief. The moment of reckoning had arrived, and there was no turning back. Evan's downfall wasn't just imminent, it was unavoidable. The next morning, I called the police. By the time they arrived, Evan was pacing in the study, pretending to read a newspaper, but his hands betrayed him, shaking, restless, guilty. Mr. Hallberg, Detective Monroe said, stepping in with a calm authority that only heightened Evan's panic. We've received a report concerning an attempted poisoning. Evan froze. That's absurd. I didn't. Save it, I said, my voice cold. We have proof. I held up the recorder. The tiny device seemed almost too small for the gravity of the crime it had captured. The detective's eyes flicked between us. Sir, he said, we'll need a statement. And you'll need to come with us for questioning. Evan's face drained of color. You can't do this, she's lying. No, Evan, you're lying, and now everyone knows it. I replied, every word cut through him like a knife. Lily stayed close to me, gripping my arm. I could feel her trembling. Dad, she whispered. I've got you, I said, giving her a reassuring squeeze. Evan tried to bolt, but two officers were already moving toward him. You don't understand, he shouted, desperation echoing in his voice. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Detective Monroe shook his head. Intent doesn't excuse your actions. You endangered a life, and now you'll answer for it. As they led him away, I watched Evan's facade crumble completely. The arrogant, untouchable man who had tried to manipulate and intimidate us was finally exposed. Lily exhaled, tears rolling freely now, relief and disbelief mingling in her expression. It's over, right? I nodded, though the weight of the night still lingered. Yes, it's over. Justice will handle him from here, and we move forward. For the first time in hours, I felt a flicker of calm. The danger had passed, but the lessons lingered. Trust could be broken in a heartbeat, and vigilance was the only shield against betrayal. The next few days felt surreal. News of Evan's arrest spread quickly, and suddenly, everyone I knew was calling, texting or stopping by. Some offered sympathy. Others were curious, almost voyeuristic, about the details. But the one thing that mattered to me was Lily. She was safe, and that was all I needed. We returned to our penthouse, still reeling from the events at Harborlight Pavilion. Every familiar corner of the apartment felt tainted, reminders of how close we'd come to disaster. I couldn't stop replaying the moment. The security guard whispered those words. One tiny sentence had saved my life. One person had chosen to act, and it had made all the difference. Lily was quiet at first, lost in thought. Then she hugged me tightly. Dad, I didn't know he could be like that. She whispered, her voice trembled, but there was a newfound steel behind it. I realized she had grown stronger through the ordeal. I nodded, pulling back to look at her. People can surprise you, for better or worse. But you've got to trust your instincts, always. The media caught wind of the story, and I had to hire a PR team to manage the fallout. Reporters painted it as a dramatic socialite scandal, someone trying to poison a millionaire. Few understood the fear, the adrenaline, the sense of betrayal. They didn't see the fear in Lily's eyes or the anger boiling inside me. As the week wore on, investigators found more evidence linking Evan to similar schemes. It became clear he hadn't just targeted me. He had been planning, testing, manipulating for months. The depth of his deception was chilling, but also vindicating. I had acted just in time. That night, as Lily slept, I sat alone in the apartment, sipping tea. The quiet was almost deafening. I couldn't shake the thought. Trust was fragile, and sometimes the people closest to you could be the most dangerous. But I had survived, and that realization, bitter as it was, felt like the first step toward reclaiming normalcy.